in. This is It's Covered, the insurance podcast. Because if you think that insurance is boring, then you are not doing it right. I am one of your hosts, Paul, and I'm your only host today. So Mel was not able to join us for recording this evening, and so I'll be flying solo here for a little bit. It's actually kind of an interesting story about how that happened like that this week. We normally, our recording schedule is not set in stone, but there is a night that we usually sit down to record. And this is, that's definitely not like at a set time or anything. It's just kind of when things, when things settle down. And this is in both of our schedules. It gets really crazy, during the week. And so normally it's kind of the last thing we do, often on a Wednesday night, is just kind of exchange text. Okay, things settling down for you, things settling down for you. Let's get this done so we can go to sleep. Well, this particular week, on Wednesday, we had planned that. We had picked our topic and jotted down some notes, sat down, kind of planned out what we were going to do a little bit. And so went about our days, and it was getting a little late, and I was ready. I was prepared. I was ready to go. I was excited. Excited is a word. And it was getting a little late, and I notated the time and just started, and I noted the time, and I was like, well, is Mel ready or not? I'm not really sure. And so what should I do? Should I, text him again, inquire as to how things are going in his day, or just go to sleep? I opted for the latter. I was actually very pleased the next morning to see that Mel had also chosen the latter, because I did not get a single text from him after I had gone to sleep about, hey, finally got things wrapped up. Are you up? So yeah, the next morning, and that was fine. We honestly both needed to sleep more than we needed to record. And so that worked out really well. But the next morning, I did have a little bit of fun with him. And when I saw him for the first time in the morning, I told him that I was up until 2 a.m. waiting for him to record. And that's absolute falsehood. That is not true at all. But just the kind of look on his face when he realized that he had forgotten and gone to sleep, was pretty great. And so of course I told him, no, I was just joking, and that I had fallen asleep. And so long story short is that, we've kind of run out of time to get together on it. And we have a schedule to keep here. We know that you are expecting this episode bright and early on Monday morning. Even though we have not traveled down this road very long together, we do know that there are several of you out there that really do enjoy getting up on Monday morning, preparing for the week with us, perhaps listening in your car on the way to the office, perhaps, listening while you're getting things ready, but kind of letting us help you get into the mindset of the week. And we really do appreciate, for those of you who are back each and every week, we really do appreciate it. For those of you who are new to the show, we are an insurance podcast. The two of us, only one, of course, that you're hearing right now, but the two of us, were originally working in claims. We have since moved to the agency side of things, and we just really find insurance interesting. and because of our experience are able to kind of speak on insurance topics from two sides of that insurance coin. And so we really enjoy these conversations with you. We really do want to hear back from you. If at any point you have any thoughts for us, any suggestions, anything that you want to add to the program, write us at itscoveredpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to check that out. Do also go to our website, itscovered.net. We didn't want to go a week without a show, and I was actually listening to some other podcasts this week, and tonight in particular, and listened to one of the episodes from this week of the Jason Stapleton program. Now, when I say this week's episode, when you hear this, it's going to be last week's episode. So if for some reason you do want to check that out, by all means do so. Jason Stapleton he does a libertarian podcast. It's a daily podcast 5 times a week. Very well produced, very well thought out. It's a very good show. He's also involved in entrepreneur stuff as well as currency trading. And he has some online courses on a variety of topics, in those areas. But I was listening to the program, and he's been having, the reason I bring this up is because this is one of those service issues that we've been talking about a lot, and I think it's just so important. One of the big themes of this show is to constantly be asking us, how are we serving our neighbor? How are we helping our neighbor? Because I mean, if this was just a thing that we sold to get money, then, first of all, I doubt you'd be listening to this trying to better yourself, trying to learn more. Mel and I certainly wouldn't be doing this also trying to better ourselves and learn more. So why? I mean, how are we serving our neighbor? And sometimes we can get so lost in the monotony of each day that we forget what we're actually here to do. And so Jason has not been having trouble with his insurance. He's been having trouble with his bank, which is, kind of a related field. But he had some money put on hold because of some complicated reasons dealing with his website or something or other that really weren't even very accurate, and it's becoming clear in these stories, and like every day during the week he's like updating us on what's going on because it's just taking so ridiculously long. But it's clear that the people he's working with are not actually sitting down and paying attention to what's going on. And the kind of the last straw was it finally got cleared up, and so he contacted his direct banker, personal banker, whatever they call it, over at that bank, and to confirm that, okay, has this gone through now? And the response was, hey, I'm in an all-day meeting. Why don't you call around? Why don't you call around and figure it out yourself? Is basically what she said. And it's not literally what she said, but basically that's it. And so, obviously this is the wrong answer. And we can say that sitting on the outside, but I can't tell you how many times I've heard that answer, from the people I work with, from when I was in claims, the people I sat beside. And it's so obviously the wrong answer when we're sitting out here, listening to somebody tell this ridiculous story about horrible customer service. But when we're in the day-to-day monotony of it, and this is what we live. This is what we deal with every day. Nothing of this is surprising to us. Goodness. Yeah, if you're an adjuster, that's your job. You process these claims. You're getting several of them a day to work out. And it's just, all right, let's get the wheels a grinding. Let's get this thing taken care of. This needs to happen. This needs to happen. This needs to happen. And it becomes sometimes such a process for us that we forget that somebody's life was just turned upside down. That someone is having a legitimate crisis, and we're the ones that are supposed to help that person. That person is the neighbor we're serving. And so, we sit back and we get questions, and we get frustrated. It's like, I've got so much to do. Why is this person not understanding? Why can't they just get me the stuff I need? Why are they making it difficult? And meanwhile, on the other end, it's like somebody who literally has never been through this before. And they just had a traumatic experience and are looking for help. And the person on the other end of the phone is being dismissive and sarcastic. Okay. And then there's sometimes the stuff that happens that are legitimate stuff, but they sound utterly ridiculous to the customer. The all-day meeting is one of them. And look, we're in this business. We've all had to deal with an all-day meeting. I'm pretty sure that all of us have. And these things happen. And sometimes they're just training. Sometimes it's, some big wig from the, from corporate is down in the area, but you've got to drive several hours to get to them. And so you just really can't get back to the office. Sometimes you're just you're on the road and you're meeting with a string of clients. Sometimes it is just, the end of the fiscal year and you've got to show some numbers, make plans for next year, whatever the case may be. The all-day meeting is a thing. It's a thing that happens. But do you realize how stupid that sounds? Do you realize how stupid it sounds that we have that, somebody's calling for help and we are in a meeting and we're not coming back today. Just forget it. They're calling at 10 o'clock in the morning. Forget it. I'm not helping you today. I'm in a meeting. It's an all-day meeting. That sounds ridiculous. And it sounds ridiculous because it is ridiculous. And look, and when I say it's ridiculous, I don't mean to say that it doesn't happen legitimately. Look, I was out of the office all day a few weeks ago for a meeting. And so it happens to me. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm not saying that sometimes it's not worthwhile. In this case, I thought, yes, this is something I need to attend. And I did not get back to the office that day. But we've got to look at this from the customer's point of view. And it's like I'm calling my adjuster. My adjuster's literal job is to fix my claim. That might as well be the word for word job description. Adjuster, fix Paul's claim. That's the whole point. And you're sitting here telling me that you can't do your job because you're in a meeting all day. Like, I'm not coming back to my desk type of a meeting, And in the customer's mind, it's like, look, meetings are supposed to be something that helps with the work process, that helps, get an idea of where everything stands. That might help with the workflow. That might help with this or that. It's not supposed to actually be the job. Adjusting is not something we do on the side in between our real job, the meetings, right? It's supposed to be the other way around. And so the sheer, look, if you want dissatisfaction to go through the roof, tell somebody whose life has been turned upside down that you can't help that person because I have a meeting. That does not instill confidence. That does not tell that person that you are looking out for them. It might be true. It might be true. But it is not instilling confidence in you. So how do we get around this? It's like, I say in the first point of this, the first way we fix this problem is to recognize that this is a job for us, but this is a crisis for them. This is a job for us, but this is a traumatic experience for them. This is our life as normal. This is their life as abnormal as it's possibly ever been. And so, first of all, if we're not having any compassion for that, we might be in the wrong career. We might be in the wrong field. But simply having that in mind goes a long way. Because I tell you what, I mean, if going back to Jason's story, if his banker had been actually concerned with what her clients are going through, despite the fact that she's in probably a legitimate all-day meeting, she should have made some effort to set up an alternate path for them to find out what they need. And that might be as easy as, hey, Frank, the other personal banker here, these files are kind of problem files. We're waiting on some information. They might call, can you field it? It might be giving these people advance warning. It might be after your all-day meeting, staying late to make sure that you follow up on everything. What it's not is, I don't have time for it right now, go call someone else. And so when I was at my all-day meeting, I didn't have any crises on my desk, which was great, because that makes things easier. But if I had, I would have updated those people before I left the day before. Now, for the stuff that was coming onto my desk, Mel was actually handling my calls that day. And so, did an out of office email, directed people to him, and he fielded them. I had established something to make sure my customers were taken care of. And that sounds obvious, and that sounds like common sense. But I'm bringing it up because not all of us are doing it. I'm bringing it up because when I was in claims, I saw it all the time of, adjusters who, and sometimes legitimately, they are overwhelmed at work. Absolutely overwhelmed. And I know, I know, it's like I've seen adjusters' desk and I know they're constantly on the phone, and that the other line on their phone is always ringing. And on the other side of that line is someone who's frustrated that their claim is not going like they thought it would, but there's no way to click over because I'm in the middle of a recorded statement. I know all of that stuff happens and it's out of your control. But I've also seen adjusters blow those calls off. I've seen adjusters blow off messages to call people back. And it's because the daily routine of things is just overwhelmed that part of your brain that's trying to remind you the person calling really doesn't have anywhere else to turn to. They don't know, they don't understand, they don't know what's going on, and you are the one that fixes it. I've said it more than once. I've said it more than once on the show. This career of ours, the one that we chose, and look, I don't feel sorry for you. I'm sympathetic because I've been there and I am there. I'm sympathetic, but you chose this career. Okay? And I did too. You know, we're not a victim of something. You know, we weren't placed, we weren't forcibly placed into the adjuster chair and said, "Hey, fix these people's lives." We picked this. And it's an incredible career, and it's an incredible field, and we have the potential to do so much good in this field. But you have a lot of responsibility in this field. You have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. The good news is that when you bear it, lives are actually legitimately changed. I mean, do you realize that when... do you realize that we're the people that undo catastrophes? We are the people that come in and fix it when everything breaks. We're the one that comes and puts the roof back up when the roof is caved in. I don't know about you, but that means so much to me. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I get excited about this topic. And that's why I think that this is an important field we're in. And it is so easy to let that understanding just get pushed to the side because there's too many stupid claims on my desk. Because there are, right? Look, I mean, part of my sympathy for adjusters is because I know how many claims are on your desk, and there's too many of them. There are days in the agency where it seems like too much is going on, and there's not enough hours to fix them all. And so you start forgetting how you are serving your neighbor because you are so focused on how in the world am I going to get through this? You're going to get through it because when the worst happens, there's no one left to go through it but us. There's no one else. We're it. Okay, this episode is going to be a little short. I'm used to Mel jumping in every once in a while, so I can at least take a sip of water or something. But I know that you and I both have a lot of work to do this week, and so let's get after it. Let's jump to it. There's a lot of people counting on us. There's a lot of people who are relying on us to put the roof back up. And so let's make that our priority this week. Serving our neighbor, providing them the coverage they need, and when the worst happens, jumping up and making sure that process happens so that they're made whole again. Again, thank you so much for listening. I do want to ask you to take a look at the website, itscovered.net, especially our free ebook for you agents out there. If you have not grabbed this is going to help you in this exact process of helping customers through claims. It's a free ebook, itscovered.net/ebook. Very easy to remember, but this is going to help you a lot in helping to service claims and to make sure that the claims don't fall into the most common pitfalls that claims falls into. So please do check that out. Thank you so much for staying with me. I will see you again next week, bright and early, Monday morning. In the meantime, let's get after it.